welcome press conference for Richard Pitino, our new head men's basketball coach. For the media that are here in attendance, I ask you to please use the microphone for the questions so that those tens of thousands that are watching on our live stream can hear your question as well as the answer clearly. And we will be posting all of this later on GoXavier.com as well as YouTube, our YouTube page, in case you missed any of the festivities from today. So without further delay, I'm going to hand it to our beat writer for our first question of the day.
Coach, you called it humbling and sobering when you left Minnesota before the New Mexico job. So just rewinding 4 years, where have you grown the most and as a coach to prepare you for this next jump back into a power conference?
Yeah, I think it's not that I didn't value others. I definitely think I did that at Minnesota, but I think I truly learned the importance of being able to band together and build an army that can help you. And I think that's the responsibility of a head coach, is hiring the right people, empowering them, not trying to do it all yourself. I think, fortunately, the last 2 years we won championships, and it was just as much about my staff and my players, boosters, supporters, fans, as it was about me. And, I'm not sure I valued that as much when I was younger.
Coach, during that address upstairs, you told the alumni and friends of the program that it's not about recruiting the best player, but the right player, and then building the program around them, developing them. I was wondering if you could expand upon that and kind of explain what exactly you meant by that.
Well, there's a million different ways to do this. You could play fast, you could play slow, you could play zone, you could press, you could play a 1-3-1, you could slow the ball up. There's so many different ways to win. I think it's very, very important that my staff has clarity of what exactly I'm looking for, because the goal is to win. The goal is to win championships. And for me, if I want to play fast, if I want to disrupt defensively, if I want to make conditioning be a huge factor in the game, I need to recruit people who can do that. So I think the biggest job for me is to make sure everybody that works for me understands what I'm looking for. And I think specifically as it pertains to recruits, it's changed. We know that. I mean, guys are not staying as long anymore at one place. Retention will be very, very important for us, but we got to recruit a roster first in order to do that. But I like size and skill, interchangeable parts at a lot of different positions. I like guys who could shoot the basketball. I like guys that are unselfish. And although, it's changed, I still want guys who want to win. And they're coming here because they're going to pour their heart and soul into that. And you learn that by asking the right questions through the recruiting process.
Coach, we heard you say that Xavier was the perfect fit for you. What was Xavier looking for in a new head coach? Why did you think you were the right fit for them?
Yeah, I mean, it happened so fast. Fortunately, I had, some other schools that inquired. And, I really wanted to focus on trying to advance in the NCAA tournament and win a championship. We were able to do that. But I just didn't know what the future held. And we started to get towards the end of this carousel. And I met Greg. And, Xavier was one where I thought they always seem to go in the family, right? And so I didn't know if that would be an option. But when Greg reached out to me, it always works out this way. You may have a list of some jobs you may think you may get a call on, and then out of nowhere comes one where you're like, wow, this would be amazing. And that was Xavier. I think Greg really liked my path. He may be a little bit crazy, but he liked that I failed a little bit at Minnesota and the way that I responded. And I think he thinks I'm ready, and I don't take that for granted. And as I said before, it was going to have to be about the right fit to leave a place in New Mexico that was so very, very good to me and my family.
This might be difficult to answer right now, but Xavier's been a very good basketball program, but I think there's been some concerns about NIL. Can they compete in this world at a high level for championships? How do you address that? How do you approach that? How can you creatively approach that in this world?
Well, we're at a position of strength. And when I was evaluating this move, I love football, love it. And I don't want it to be all about just one program, but certainly when that House settlement passes, which I assume it will, it's going to change a lot for everybody. And I truly believe that the Big East is going to be in a huge position of strength moving forward. So that's big in itself. The next thing I have to do is first I got to recruit some players, but then I got to get out in the community and meet our stakeholders, explain to them my vision. You know, you can't just say we need money, we need money. Like you got to tell them why you want to invest in Xavier basketball. So it's no different than anything else. I mean, we've got so much great support. Show them the return on their investment. Make sure we bring in the right people to make them proud and win. And when you do that, it's just amazing how many more opportunities that you get. So I'm up for the challenge. You know, I've had a lot of success in the NIL portal world, and it's just all about making sure that you endear yourself to the right people and get them to understand that they truly are appreciated. And this is what we're going to do with their support.
I'll go for one more, and I'll pass it along. I did want to ask you as well, just I'm sure you've been asked this every step along the way, but your dad, what is one thing you would say you've learned, maybe the most important thing you've learned from him?
Well, I'm assuming you're meaning basketball because nobody ever cares about
Yes.
the father part, so I'll give you basketball.
Basketball.
I do have
Basketball
a mom,
works.
too. Nobody ever
Basketball
wants
works.
to know about her. But I would say just we're both bad golfers. You would think it's Sunday at the Masters when we play. He's so very competitive. And that would be the singular thing that I've learned is just to get everybody to scratch and claw and band together to get a win and then to do it again. That would be the biggest thing I've taken from him. There's no better, fiercer competitor. And I can't wait for him to see all this, but I know it's going to be very, very hard to beat him.
Staying on the topic of your dad, when you first tell him that you're taking the job at Xavier, what was his reaction to, facing off with you twice a year?
I will tell you this. Not to say I had a million schools call, but a lot of schools called. Did that mean they offered me jobs? No, that did not. Now, I had a couple offers. Every time I had an offer, he told me, stay at New Mexico. He saw the way the community embraced me in Albuquerque. He saw how much we were winning, and he saw how happy I was. When Xavier called, he changed his tune. I think that the fit is really good. As I said before, I walk around this campus, I feel like I'm back in college. I promise I will not behave the way I did in college, but I just resonate with this type of community, very, very comfortable with it. It feels great, but I can tell you there was no bigger fan of taking Xavier than my dad.
You spoke about fast tempo offense. With today's modern player and NIL, how do you get them to buy into being the ones who have to go out there, work extra hard, and be exhausted when they're cashing checks?
I don't think that's, I want them to cash bigger checks as they get older. NIL is great, but we want them to play basketball for a long time. We want them to get a degree from here. And when they're done playing basketball, be great fathers, be great businessmen, be smart with their money. So although NIL is super important and you will not get players if you don't have a competitive NIL, we want them thinking 30, 40 years. As for the pace of play, it's not real hard to sell a vision of we don't want to run a bunch of set plays and walk the ball up the court. Now, they got to push through when they get tired. We've got to practice it every single day. I did make a shift. When I went from Minnesota to New Mexico, I changed kind of the way that we played, especially on the offensive side of it. Not as many set plays. Honestly, similar to what they ran, Coach Miller ran here in the past. We talked a lot about it. We both got it from Gonzaga, learning from them a little bit. So it's hard, but it's a fun way to play.
What are some of the biggest differences when evaluating players to bring in from the portal when you're just trying to fill one or two spots on a roster as opposed to building a roster from scratch?
Yeah, obviously, it's very challenging to build a whole roster. Now, it's way more doable now in the current landscape than ever before. We're going to be very patient. We're not every single player that we speak to, like we're going to have building a championship program in mind, not just a Band-Aid, not just a quick fix. But, everybody's kind of starting over every single year. What we've got to find is we want players who love the game of basketball, not what the game of basketball gives them. And they're going to pour their heart and soul into this amazing basketball program, this amazing university, to win championships. So you got to ask the right questions. You got to really, really get to know them, because it is certainly becoming a little bit more transactional. But I still truly believe, yes, money is important, but they also value, a degree. They also value the college experience to go along with all the other things.
Coach, what's your scheduling philosophy?
Put ourselves in a position to get an at-large bid. That's where my mindset is at. Obviously, we've got an amazing game in the crosstown shootout that you're always going to play. The Big East is a great conference. We want it to continue to get better and better from an metric standpoint. I'm not just trying to win 20 games to pad my record. I'm try to put ourselves in a position to be comfortably in the NCAA tournament every single year. And I believe it's been proven, schedule hard. So we've got some things that are already scheduled. We're working on that, but if I played a game right now, we'd have to forfeit. So I've got to figure out the roster first, but we want to be super aggressive.
Can you talk more detail about why you think the House settlement is going to help the Big East? Is it specifically the revenue sharing and not competing with football?
That's exactly why. Yeah, I think, from speaking to a lot of different ADs in a lot of different conferences, it's just the Big East is in an unbelievable position. Maybe not right now, but this thing could substantially change and swing in our favor in a week. And it's just simple mathematics. I mean, it's okay. The cap is 20.5, and this is what you got. Greg has assured me we're going to have 20.5 to spend on the roster this year. Very appreciative of him. But it's just a matter of, obviously, football it's such a monster, and we understand that. And a lot of the funding is going to go to, that sport.
Staying on the topic of changes, super conferences are in play now. There have been rumors, conversations about a Big East ACC merger as well. Now that you're coming into the Big East, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it. I don't know how true any of it is, certainly. I think whatever can strengthen the Big East Conference, I'm all for. As I said before, I truly do believe that we are in a great spot. We don't need to settle. But you're seeing more and more that, people are branching away and building these super conferences. So I don't know Val extremely well, but I do know that she wants to be very, very aggressive in all this realignment stuff moving forward.
Coach, you referenced the crosstown shootout. What do you make of that rivalry?
Yeah, I mean, as good as it gets. I understand the responsibility. I understand how important it is to our fans. I will pour my heart and soul to win that game every single year because I know Xavier fans and this community and the alumni, former players, coaches, how important it is to them. I know it's going to be hard. We got a lot of work to do, but it's just an amazing, amazing rivalry that, one time a year in the non-conference, all eyeballs are on that game, and it's something that I'm extremely excited to be a part of.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about Dante Jackson and retaining him, somebody who's been now with 3 different staffs here at Xavier, and how important it is to have someone who knows this program well?
Well, I told him this, and I probably shouldn't say this. I don't care that he played at Xavier. I don't care that he's worked here before. I want to hire Dante because I think he's a phenomenal coach, and he understands what we're trying to do. Now, the other things that he has done in the past, that is so very important. I understand that. But I would not have hired him if I didn't think that he was a terrific coach. Playing at Xavier, knowing this place, certainly is an added benefit, but that's not why I hired him. All of the guys that I hired understand what the job is, and I truly believe together we're going to do it.
Yeah, Coach, as you mentioned in your intro, obviously you're no stranger to playing in front of really, really incredible crowds and incredible home court, advantages. What kind of difference have you seen in your time over, a couple different schools, and what that home court advantage does for your team? And then how does your style of play kind of feed off that? And also, how do you kind of help produce a lot of the energy that can be brought to those crowds?
Yeah, I would not have left New Mexico unless it was for a place that played in front of amazing fans. That was something special for me to coach in an iconic building like the Pit. And I was not going to go to a place unless they really, really cared about college basketball. It is an advantage. How much of an advantage, I don't know. But I do know there is nothing more special than walking out of a locker room and seeing 10,000 people pouring their heart and soul into helping you. So, what do I do to help? I'm going to do my very best to get to know the people who come to our games. I think they're going to see what we're all about. They're going to understand that I want to represent them in a first-class manner. Our players are going to play extremely hard. That is something that our fans deserve. And you will not win if you don't play hard in this conference. So, we're gonna work our butts off over the next couple months to put together a team and a program that reflects this amazing fan base.
Coach, what is a realistic expectation / goal for your first year here?
Right now, we want to build a championship program. We really do. And certainly not ideal to, have to fill a whole roster in this time. But I think we can certainly be at a much stronger point in a couple of weeks than we're at right now. Coach Miller did a great job in the 3 years he was here to obviously go to 2 NCAA tournaments, go to an NIT, so he's right there. You go to the NIT, you're in the hunt. We want to be in the fight. We do. I don't care how many players, when I took the job, I was very, very appreciative of the last 2 years I had at New Mexico. And I tell you what, you get on a ladder and you cut down nets, that is addicting. And I want to do it again. So in my mind, we want to compete for Big East titles every single year. We know it's going to be hard. We've got so much respect for every single opponent, but we got some work to do.
Coach, thanks for your time, and I want to thank Xavier Nation and the media that came out today, but also the tens of thousands that joined us on the live stream as well. We really appreciate it. And to remind you that on GoXavier.com as well as our YouTube page, we'll be posting later today everything that happened this afternoon. Thanks again.
Thank you.